it's working.
Hi Rob, how you doing? You right? Hi Wendy, Christine.
Evening all.
Evening all.
Evening all.
Okay, so good evening, everybody. We are just about to start recording, and this is Wisdom Entrepreneurs Monday, the 15th of February 2021, the day after Love Day. It's Love Month. And this evening's guest speakers are Pete and our wonderful Derrick, and they are going to take us on a love journey for the next hour or so. So, as usual, this is a conversation. So you are very welcome to join in, ask questions, raise your physical hand and we'll look out for you, or there is a way of raising the little digital hand if you know how to do that, and we'll look out for that. Feel free to send lots of love to Pete tonight. This is his first live event. And we're really looking forward to hearing from him. So there you go, Pete. The floor is yours.
Evening, guys. Thanks for that, Mama J. Right. I wanted to share something. I had a massive insight about 5 or 6 months ago, all based around a past reality. And after the insight, I actually wrote a piece, which I wanted to share with you guys, if that's all right. So, all that you need lies within you. To analyze thought will spur on negative energy. To find inner peace, one must understand that all realities are different. But just because your reality is different from others, there is still enough room for them all to exist. In a world of realities, we can never be wrong unless our ego is building that reality. The past is just an illusion of a reality that no longer exists, which is only kept alive by your own thoughts. When you stop feeding thoughts into the past, it can no longer hurt you. So for me, that was quite huge. Because for 36 years, I carried a past reality around, excuse me, ever since I was a child. And for 25 years of that, I turned to drink and drugs, to numb the pain, what I was actually suffering through. But then when that clicked with me, I realized I didn't have to carry on thinking those thoughts. As soon as I dropped those thoughts, that reality, it's still there, but it can't hurt me any longer because I just let it drop away. So I just thought I'd share that with everyone to begin with.
Yeah, I love that, Pete, man. I like that a lot. Because it shows me as well where I used to be. I used to live up in that space of up in my head, as I said in the thing, making a movie and playing it out the way that I thought it should go or the way that I think it should be. But I didn't have to be like that. And I realized that I didn't have to be like that. I didn't have to feed into my thinking I do have to feed into my thinking to keep them feelings alive. And I just thought that was a natural process. That was how I dealt with things. And I thought, in a way, I thought I was on my own by doing that. And then Beyond Recovery kind of showed me that everything I do, everybody else does the same thing, but just in their own reality version of it. So it might not look like what I'm doing to me, but to them, it's the same thing to them because my reality and their reality is different. And sort of seeing that opened the door to let me see the innocence and compassion in other people. But first I had to see it in myself. I had to break down that little world that I had built up in my head. And a lot of things, I was having a conversation today, a lot of things what I'd built up from a childhood, I'd taken them same beliefs up until recently, just because I weren't willing to challenge them, because I thought it was the norm. And just being willing not to challenge it, it just stays the same, it doesn't change. And I think a lot of people are frightened of change, frightened to look at things new, or what they might see, or it's new, so it's unknown. And in a way, we're programmed to think that unknown is bad. But just getting out of that, just me discovering that I don't have to think like how I used to think, and all the movies I made up weren't necessarily real. But just to know that helped me along so in such leaps and bounds. And something else that you said in that letter there, Pete, touched me when you said a bit about the ego. When I was wrong and I'm about to admit being wrong, always it's my ego that is admitting, and it feels it. It's bruising to admit that you're wrong. But this understanding showed me when I was wrong and I admitted I was wrong from that space of wisdom, and it just felt so good. Being wrong never felt so good. And it's coming from that same thing. If there's no ego involved, it just feels right. It just feels right, Pete. That little letter spoke to me so much, man.
Well, that's right, because for years, this is all new to me, but for years my ego has always dictated everything I thought, and thought of others. I was the most judgmental person in the world. Now I walk down the street and I just see everyone for what they are. It's just pure love, pure innocence. Talking about illusionary realities. Crikey, I've made some really bad realities up today about this evening. The nerves and what's going to happen and that's going to happen. But it's all in your head. It's everything we make up. I don't think we can really go through a day without making an illusionary reality up. I honestly don't know.
I love that, Pete. I love that. It's so true. It's invisible. That making up story is invisible, right? Because what I heard from that letter, that was written from a different space than the insecure or ego head that you were occupying when you were worried about tonight. And those two things live in juxtaposition with each other all the time. We're always doing that. And those words, we know those words have already impacted somebody else. And they can't do that from a logical point of view. You can just look at it and go, oh yeah, that makes sense. But when it hits you, that's words that have come from the heart hitting someone else in the heart, or from the soul hitting somebody else's soul. And so I really see what you're saying, because we walk around all the time making up this illusion of what we are, what we're meant to be, what people think about us, what we should be doing next, blah, 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 blah. And yes, that same person can sit down and outpour such a depth of feeling and meaning and inspiration to other people. So I love what you're pointing to there, because we are always going to do that, and it's a balance, isn't it? It's a dance I remember when I first met you, when you used to tell us about road rage and clients that you couldn't stand that got on your nerves. And now all you talk about is how much you love them and how much you want to help them, and little old ladies that come into your place and you give them free stuff, and you want to help everyone, and you're not irritated by them anymore. Well, that didn't come from you trying to do that. That came from an elevated consciousness. And we're always doing that in our consciousness.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I love that. I just wish I could have seen this years ago. I honestly don't think years ago I even knew what a reality was. I didn't know there was such a thing as different realities. The other thing I thought about today, it's funny how, if you get into an argument with somebody, you put the phone down, you're replaying it over and over in your mind, and you're like, right, I'm going to say this next time I see him or next time I speak to him. But then what you also start to do is you start creating what their reality is going to be saying back to you. So I know he's going to say this. I know he's going to say that. So yeah, actually you do that, Derrick.
I have the full repertoire. I have their answer, my answer, the little bit in between. I always come out Rosie. So then that's my movie. I've played at that movie, and now I've got to go and film it live. And when I go to film it live, they never play their part. They always got their own version of what they think, what they want to bring to it. And it never seems to, but I always go through that energy of going through the conversation, and it's like I'm convincing myself that I was right. Because the most I've done that is with my partner. When I've had an argument on the phone, I've hung up. Now I'm just going back over it, reinforcing where I was right and breaking down where she was wrong. So now in this imaginary conversation, I've got the much better hand because she's now seeing that she was wrong in everything that I'm saying. But it's not going to go like that. But I still invest the energy in trying to see it like that and try to convince myself that I should stay with this argument and push it even further. When that's ego there, that's ego telling me, do you know what? You can't be seen to back down. You can't lose. I don't care what you said. We're going to back it. And wisdom is saying, no, listen to what you, is that real? Do you really think that? And if you say, well, I don't even think or feel that. Once you don't think or feel it, the words become redundant. But we still go through that process. And that's what I found. When I found that little space, and then I realized it didn't make sense, but then tried to reinvest in it because I wanted a bit of that feeling. It just didn't make sense at all. And then that's when you can see something that your reality was 5 minutes ago is no longer real. So what is reality? It's only what I think right now is my reality. And something else I've seen, okay, you can look at outwards, but you can't change what outwards is coming in. That's what I would have thought at first. But then if I'm looking at a situation in a certain way, from a certain angle, I'm only going to pick up cues that I'm seeing from that angle. So if I think I'm being hard done by, everything I'm going to see is going to feed into it. So in a way, what you do think in the moment does affect the reality that you soak in, if that makes sense to a degree.
Yeah, 100%, mate. 100%. Last few months, I've had a few instances with some people in the family, and where I'd normally get up in my head, you know, rah, 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 I've had that space in between. I've allowed myself that little bit of space, and that then just brings me down another level, and then it's just like, you know, it's their reality. And as soon as you recognize that, everything drops away, and it's like, wow, yeah, that's powerful. Just be able to not react like you would in the heat of the moment in an argument. You know, you boom, boom, boom. But to be able to just give yourself that little bit of space, you know, pause for thought, as they say, and then yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I love that.
And you see how that's more power. If you would have been the sort of person that would have reacted and thought there was no thinking involved, it was just a natural process. To actually see that in play now, to see there is a gap there for you to occupy and anything is possible from that gap, just opens, well, for me, it opened endless doors because I've been in that situation where I thought there was no thinking involved. That's just how it was. And then when you look into it, there's always thinking involved, and it never has to be like that. What I loved when I first got this understanding was the word options. There's always options. And I thought of the most backed into the corner time in my life where I don't care what you said, there's no options there. I had to do what I'd done next. No, when I break that down, there's an option that I could have taken. It might not have been an option that I wanted to take, but it was an option nonetheless. But just by discounting that and all other options, I've just said, this is my only option. And it's not. It's never your only option.
Yeah, it's so true. So I apply that every single day. What Mama Joe was referring to there a few months back about the road rage. That was when we was doing the VIP course last year. And somebody cut me out and nearly wrote the front of the car off. And I was literally just about to get on the horn, do what you usually do. And I thought, maybe he's in a rush on the way to the hospital or something. And just by recognizing that, just totally blew everything out. But, you know, instead of being up in my head, really, there's nothing there. There's no anger, there's no judgment, no nothing. I think that's the thing I like the most is there's no anger anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as you give yourself that space.
And what I love about that is that story is that you, as far as I could tell, you weren't trying to have less road rage. When you told the story previously, you were like, well, of course I've got road rage. There are basically rude words on the road. Who wouldn't have road rage? There was no desire for you to change that. That's just the way it is. And then they talk about all boats rise with the tide. So you have a shift in consciousness, you have a shift in your understanding of how reality works, and you're just doing a normal thing, driving down the road on the way to work, and a normal thing that happens to you happens, and a completely new thought drops into your head. So same situation, same outward looking reality, but a completely fresh, independent thought. I wonder if he's having a bad day. So the magic part is that you didn't need to do anything about that, because that thought opened the space of, yeah. And then no anger, because why would you have an anger if you think someone might be on the way to the hospital or somebody might be whatever it is? Why would you have anger? So I think that's such an important point that you make there, that we don't have to force those situations. Just by the willingness to look in this direction creates a more of an open aperture, so that in a normal place where you normally would feel like that, something new pops in and everything changes for you. There's so much less effort, isn't there, when it's like that? So much less to do.
It's completely effortless. It really is. Even as you referred to, my clients at work, God, the phone calls I get being in IT, people screaming and shouting down the phone because this isn't working, that isn't working. And for me, that was always a trigger point to go and hit the bottle at the end of the day. But now, again, it's just like, they're having a bad day. Of course, if they're having a bad day, the IT's not working. So don't take it personally, Pete. They're just screaming and shouting because they're getting screamed and shouted at because they can't do their job. But it's just recognizing, as you say, and it is effortless. I never would have believed 6-7 months ago that this was possible for me. I was such a hot-headed person, really was. But now, wow, I'm so quiet and so gentle. Has anyone else got anything they would like to share?
Christine?
Go on, Chris.
Sorry, I was just thinking how nice it is now when you were saying about preparing for something, or working out the conversations beforehand, how really lovely it is to go into a conversation or a meeting with someone and just being there and think, well, I don't know what's going to happen, and whatever, I'll respond to whatever happens. And it's just such a nice feeling, rather than, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to say that and they've got to say this. And yeah, so it's I really, that really resonated with me. Losing those, losing the planning and losing the having to be a certain way.
Yeah, I think when we lose that planning, then we're actually, we're here, we're in the now. I think that's the important thing that I've started to learn, is living in the now. I've never done that before. Everything was planned. Tonight you're gonna have a drink. Let's go and do that. You're gonna do this. There was never a time in moment where I was actually just in the now. So yes, for me that's huge. It really is huge. Thanks, Christine.
Yeah, that's something I found as well. The present, just living in your head in the past or the future, you don't get to see the present that often. But when you realize that that it's not about the future, it's not about the past, it's about being more in the present, you start to see more and can feel more and appreciate more. And I was going to say, with this understanding, certain words just come into play that you're not expecting, like innocence. You start seeing innocence show up and it's like, where the hell did that come from? And I weren't sitting there thinking, let me be innocent, let me see the innocence in people. You just thought, I'm just taking your car thing, for example. You're in the car, somebody cuts you up. You just have a original, we might be rushing somewhere, we might be doing this. And then you see innocence in it. It just comes with it. And then you start to see it everywhere where that situation is at play. As I was speaking to someone today, someone phoned with some advice, and they got a little child that was acting up. And I said, you always have to look for the innocence in that person, in the little child. Whatever they're doing, there's an innocence behind it. You're focusing on the actions, and you got to remember, you was 12 once. Say, oh, I don't understand where she's coming from, but you do, because you was 12 once. And the same trouble that you was getting in when you were 12, you was looking from the same thing probably from your mum that she's looking for. So you just have to kind of see with that and just see the innocence. But when you see the innocence in things, it just opens up the door. And like you said, judgment as well. So many little negative things I used to do, they fall away, and they don't fall away and be left blank. They fall away and replaced with something. Like the anger was placed with seeing innocence, or where the potential for anger. Because if you get angry with something, you feel like there's something to do to get rid of the anger, but then when you see a fault and then the anger's not even there no more, it's like, what the hell happened? Like, what was such a powerful thing, something that you thought once it was here, it's here, and I have to work to get rid of it. Now you just thought something, it's disappeared. That opens up so many different possibilities. So many. I love that story.
Yeah, as you say, the innocence. I've never actually, I don't think I've actually ever really listened to that word, but it is all innocent. It's saying Wilson used to say about everything comes from love as well. Doesn't matter what it is, it's always got love behind it, always. So yeah.
I can remember when I'm not proud to say this, but when Darren was younger, my son, and I used to be very hot-headed as well, I fly off the handle so easily, and very on the edge, always on the edge. And we were going to a party, and he wanted to bring his guitar, and he was 13 or 14 or something, and I thought it was not appropriate, and he insisted that he wanted to bring his guitar, and we had this row. And I can remember I bashed the keys against the wall, threw the keys in temper against the wall, and so why do you ruin everything? Anyway, we stopped and we went to the party, and that story plagues me, that I behaved like that, that I thought that was appropriate, that I was so insecure or whatever it was at the time, that I would let go of that anger and do that. And it really plagues me still. And I can see the innocence. This is an example of when you can see something from a sort of this level, but you haven't yet seen it from that level. And I can see the innocence, that it came from love. It came from just wanting not to look strange at the party. It came from wanting to go there with him and it to be nice, and now it wasn't nice anymore. It came from a place of wanting things to be good. But the reaction was not good. And I can see that was innocent, but I can't see it I haven't felt that at a deep level enough to forgive myself, because it wouldn't keep plaguing me if I had, so I can understand when we talk to people who have done terrible things, why they might look at us a bit strange when we're saying, well, it came from innocence, it came from love, and why they might say, well, yeah, but what, and other professionals, but well, yeah, really? because that's what's going on for me too. But at some point, I know that I've forgiven people and seen the innocence in their actions, but it's harder sometimes to see it in yourself. Come on, Dave.
How about just trying? You don't have to believe that you can forgive yourself, but just try it, see what happens. You know, quite a lot of this conversation requires people to think in an abstract way and look at things that they've held dear and true to themselves for a long period of time innocently, and we're asking them to challenge that gently. It's exactly the same, but you're right. You know, when it's us, we feel more responsible, more invested, and more caught up in it, and that's perfectly natural. You know, that's perfectly natural. You've just explained that. You know, you've explained that that's conversations you have with other people, knowing that that's what's true. But there's a little bit, as you said, a little bit of you that doesn't quite believe it in this instance. But if it's always true, it's always true. And knowing that at any moment you can see that differently is all you need to remember. You know, you'll be caught by it for as long as it feels like it's the right thing to do. But just have a play with trying to forgive yourself and see what happens. You've got nothing to lose.
And it's also interesting when you would probably be rethinking that. Depends on your state of mind when that's coming to you. So if you've got that, I'm assuming maybe that if you're present, that's not popping in your head. It's probably going to come at a time when you're busier, and it's going to have that charge with it. But if you sit with it when you've got that presence, when you've got that space, it feels very, very different. So I'd be looking at what's your state of mind when you're thinking that thought. It's that thought again. Because that space will bring the answer, won't it? That's when you'll see it differently.
Thank you both. I wonder if there's nothing to do. And just by, for instance, me talking about it just now was what was needed. And there is nothing else to do. You know, it's outed itself, if you like. And so it's out there now, isn't it? And look, you haven't all switched off and gone, oh no, we're never going to speak to her again, Wicked Witch of the West. So I wonder if, you know, rather than concentrating on it, that's what needed to happen.
You know, Mama Jo, I was going to say something like that, you know, because it's like each individual incident can only be tackled by itself. I've seen that. I could have anger issues with my partner. I could have an anger issue with a colleague. I could have an anger issue with my auntie from when I was younger. I might tackle the one with my partner, but I'm still going to my aunties and getting angry with her. And I'm not seeing the connection. That I have to deal with my aunties one individually. When I'm ready in that moment, when I see something and I see it and then it's put to bed, but then to say I've conquered it all, that's not happening. And that hasn't happened. So when I'm ready to deal with it, or when I'm ready to see it, I will see it. But it's not a problem because I know the up and down nature of life allows for me to operate within that up and down space. I don't have to do anything to get out of it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm insecure about a few things. I'm still insecure about, but I don't, what I used to be insecure about, certain things I'm not, but other things what I am insecure about, I don't really see them as, I don't see them as that. But when I'm ready to see them, I will see them. Because I can list loads of things where you lot be like, oh, Derrick, oh, you. But that is that is my ups and down nature of life. That is it. And it encompasses everything. I can't cut out anger, or I can't cut out regret, or I can't cut out certain things out of my life, because then that'll be depriving me of the up and down. I need the downs and the ups, and I need the challenges to bring me to appreciate the highs, if that makes sense. It's
cool that you said that, because I was thinking about that with Pete earlier when he said, I wish I'd heard about this a long time ago. And I thought, if you did, you wouldn't be able to help people as much as you can now. You wouldn't impact people as much as you can now, because you wouldn't know. So, you know, it's all part of the makeup of where you are at now.
And that's when you said that, Pete, because the first thing that I sort of know is that I only saw this understanding when I was ready for it. Now, that doesn't mean I only saw it because I went into prison at that time and bumped into it. I never see this 10 years ago because I wasn't ready for it 10 years ago, more than likely. So then I only saw it when I was ready for it. And at the point it came to me is when my story or my experience, which I would have avoided if I would have found it 10 years ago, wouldn't have been in play, like Mama J said, is all of my downs and my ups have put me this point and made me ready to embrace the 3 principles and tell my story. Not necessarily from a sanitized position, but from the dirt I had to endure to then get the gems to say, look, this is what I've been through. And I'm not proud, but my experience is my experience, and my life has been my life, and it's made me who I am now. Every second of my life leading up to now has made me who I am now. And I'm just thankful for everything that has come at the time it's come, the ups and the downs. Now that I'm not on an up, but now I'm not doing the things I used to do before, I can stand and look down and say, yeah, I'm glad of what I've done and where it's to put me now. But maybe when I was in it, the feeling weren't the same. But the journey where I am now, at what point I am now, yeah, I can tell anybody my story and be proud to say that was me, that was my life. And this is what, and if you're going to judge me for halfway through the story, then you're going to judge me halfway through the story. But if you let me finish and get to where I am now, then I'm proud of everything. I'm proud of where I am now. I don't even know what to say. I'm proud of where I am now. Yeah, because I've done some things that I'm not proud of, but I know that was just part of my journey, making me, and trying to make things better. Yeah, I don't know if I think I'm going to top.
No, I love that, bro. No, I love that. That's the one thing I did say a few months back. I think I said it to Mama J. I said it to Kaz and the kids, my guys, that I had to go through everything I went through, including the attempted suicide. That wasn't my day to die. I was saved. And I believe with my whole heart and passion that I'm here for a reason, and that is to spread my story. And that's it. So that's my reality from now on.
Yeah.
That's it.
You told me that story, yeah? And I really had to run on my head and say, hold on. So someone was just thinking at the time and just done that. And just, I've never seen a case for somebody saying, I was meant to be here today. Now, I wasn't meant to, I was meant to do that, but then I'm still meant to be here, if that makes sense. Because I have to go through that. And your story hits me here. Powerful. Yeah. So you had to go through that to stand up now and be that powerful person that you are now. It's beautiful, Peter. It's beautiful. But like I said, there's some people that have to experience the things and come out to help other people out through them. And I wouldn't say you've been blessed, but you're blessed now. You're blessed now. And your blessing is to bless other people.
100%.
I know that Rob wants to speak, but I'll just finish something that I wanted to share with you is that I spoke with my son about my situation, and I didn't tell him about that particular scenario. There are a few. And he said, we've got this amazing relationship, which I've spoken about before, and we've got this absolutely amazing relationship. I am blessed to have the relationship that I've got with him. And his take was, he knows a lot of people who rub along okay and had an okay, didn't have those things that maybe, because he feels he did things as well. So he said, there's people who've rub along okay and they've got an okay relationship. They haven't got what we've got, this amazing relationship. And if it's a choice between having what went before and having, which leads to what we've got now, I choose this every time, which, that's enough, isn't it?
But Mama J, now I'm going to point you to, you see, everything that happened, like we just said, everything I've done in my history makes me who I am now. Everything you've done is the same, and every experience your son has been through is the same. So you don't know what he saw in that guitar incident, what made him who he is today. Yeah? Because that is a part of him. He's got his own little version of what went on that day, and that has made him who he is today now. And if you're proud of that, who he is now, then you should be proud of your efforts. And there should be no room for, oh, yeah, no, straight.
Rob.
I'm just seeing a lot of connections in my mind. because to me, this conversation is about healing. And I'm relating it back to when I first had my first insight. And my first insight was literally listening to somebody on a video on YouTube saying, I don't have to think those thoughts. And that was what we were talking about. Soul. I think someone was mentioning the soul earlier. That was kind of, it wasn't even so much listening to what he was saying. It's the feeling that I got from it that just made that change in me. And I think when you were saying about there's nothing to do, I'm actually relating it to the quote that Pete has put up here, which is an amazing quote from Viktor Frankl. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our response. In our own response lies our growth and our freedom. And I think that's kind of what happens, is that when I started to see my thoughts as a thought, there was that space that opened up. That was the healing for me.
Yeah, I love that, Rob. I love that.
Yeah, so referring to that space and that, yeah, my family's gone through hell because of what I was like in the past. But now we've all got that sort of space, and I don't know. I think we are all, we're all healing. Yeah, they're all so proud of what I'm doing now. But looking back on the old days, I refer to it as the old me. Everybody had to live in my reality. Nobody had their own reality. It was my way or the highway. It was, that was it. We're doing this. We're doing that. Nobody had a choice. Yeah. So I get a bit emotional. Sorry.
It's a beautiful point, though, Pete. And to a greater or lesser degree, that's what we're all doing. We're all going around thinking that the reality in our head is the reality that everyone is in, which is why we don't understand it when someone else can't see what we're seeing. Until you know that there is separate realities, it doesn't make sense. Or people talk about, well, it's common sense, isn't it? Because somebody didn't do something. Yeah, Kate.
Right, yeah, I love this conversation and this topic, and I just wanted to share because I'm transitioning between realities right at the moment, if that's even a thing. But for the longest time, I won't talk about the detail. It's an emotional one for me. But for the longest time, I've seen things a certain way, and it's something that I wanted to happen. It wasn't happening, and I've been angry about it. I've been upset about it. I've got like a little scar on my hand from like whacking something on the wall, and there was like a little nail behind it. Like that was about 5 years ago. But it's always been kind of fixed for me, this reality, and recently a few things that have kind of gone on out. There were no options in this reality. There was no winners. Like no one was winning. Like it was always, I felt like I couldn't win. There was no way that I could win. I either accepted kind of what was going on around me, which I felt like wasn't fair and wasn't right. And I shouldn't have to do that. And that all upset me and all the rest of it. Or I stayed and hid and avoided it and got upset or angry with it. And just, I don't know, just over the past few weeks, I've just really been seeing things getting little glimmers of how it could look different, to a point where now I want to accept it. I know I'm not there, but I really want to, because I can see the benefit for me, for my family, for everybody. If I accept it, I can see that there's no more losers, like everyone, it will come out really well. I get this little feeling of like loveliness as well, because I want to be happy about something that I've stopped myself being happy about. And and I know that I'm transitioning, but I know I'm not there yet, because I'm still, every now and again, I'm like, I think I get caught up on the principle of something rather than the reality. And I'm like, in the principle of it, I'm like, no, that's not fair. They shouldn't do that. Look, not with me, not blah, blah, blah. I don't know, all this stuff. And I'm like, but I don't actually feel that. That's the principle part, isn't actually, I don't feel that way. It's only when I'm kind of pulling myself back and not accepting it because of, yeah, I don't know, getting caught up on the principle. So yeah, I guess I just wanted to share, because I'm not quite there with it, but I'm not back where I was. And I think the difference in it is that I can see it more, and I want to flick into this reality now. And I hope I keep going in that direction, because I can see how much better it would be for me and everybody. But this one was I think this one was just protecting me a little bit. Yeah, so I just wanted to share.
I love that. I love that. So beautiful. And beautiful. I love it that you're in it. That's what, you know, that's what I was trying to say, maybe not as eloquently, but I love it that you're in it. And that willingness, even that is wisdom, that seeing that it's no longer a true reality, and you already know that. And so that just on its own will have an effect in your life. You're already talking about it lighter. You're already talking about it like you can see the light, you can see the relief, you can see what's possible. There's a bit of you still clinging on there because that kept you safe for a long time. You thought it did. Of course you're going to cling on. That's no different from using alcohol or drugs or food or shopping or whatever, relationships. That's no different from having OCD and turning the light off several times before you leave the house. That kept you safe in your mind for a long time. So you're going to keep clinging a little bit. That will sort its own way out. Dave and Derrick.
No, I was going to ask Dave.
What this understanding does for us amazingly is brings awareness. That's it. Awareness of where we are, how we feel in the moment, at any given moment. And just knowing how the system works is all we need to remember. And we'll get caught. You know, I was a completely ridiculous little thing today. I was out for a walk with my children. I sent them off home while I popped into the shop to grab something. So they were a couple of minutes ahead of me. And just coming around the corner, my brain started coming up with an idea that what happens if I come around the corner and I find that they've been crossing the road and one of them has been hit by a car? And I felt immediately sick. And then I went, yeah, but you're making that up. And it went away just as quickly. It's awareness of how our world works individually that gives us the freedom, gives us that space. And it happens faster than we can take credit for, but we have that beautiful gift of awareness. That's it. So for a fraction of a second, I felt very sick about something that I thought was really horrendous. And then I realized that it was completely made up by me, and it disappeared just as quickly as it started. But I could have got completely caught up in it for a long period of time until I got home and found them safe and well. It's ridiculous what we can do to ourselves, but it's all done innocently, and it's all done without our consent. It's the awareness that brings us back to what is real and what is present now. That's it, ever. Always, 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 always. And it's wonderful, Kate, that you are aware that you're on a journey, because we all are. And that's one, made me smile massively. So good luck with the rest of it. And I look forward to hearing how it unfolds.
Thank you.
Yeah, brilliant. Go on, Jill.
I just wanted to share something that's been worrying me today. We're almost ready to launch our project, and somebody was suggesting to me today that I need to have a sort of plan of what I expect people to do in the 3 or 4 hours they come, and what am I going to get them to do, you know, and sort of have plans for doing a project in the workshop or planting seeds, and that really freaked me out, because it's not, I'm like Kate, sort of on a journey, and my journey wanted to be very much the whole project sharing the idea of the principles and letting people come, choose what they want to do, choose if they just want to hang out, and obviously have things there for them to do, and guide them through things if they want to do things, but very much just allowing them to be, just come and be, and also and the idea of getting people to do things, you know, to complete a project or whatever, it's freaked me out. So, you know, having been a teacher for 36 years or whatever, it's very difficult to turn off the teacher bit if you're having to, you know, get people to do something. I don't want to be that teacher anymore. I want to bring something different. And I don't know if that makes sense at all, but I don't want to come from the teacher. I don't want to show kids how to do things and make them do things, and you do this, that, and the other. I don't want to do that. And I just want it to be a more gentle approach. I don't know if any of it just has bothered me a bit, and I don't know, your thoughts would be great.
Pete, have you got anything, or would you like me to chip in?
I don't know. I just thought maybe I don't know, might be way off the key, but just let them show up and live out their reality, what it is they want to do, instead of forcing something on them. Just see what they want. Just saying what occurs to me as well.
I love that, and I would add that I'm a recovering project manager, and so everything that I look at, you know, gets turned into a plan with dates and milestones and key performance indicators before I've even got off the blocks. Yeah. And what I've come to terms with is the marriage of the skills that I've got there, which are skills, and the more free-flowing sort of let's see what happens type of thing. And over time, that marriage has been, well, it's a marriage made in heaven, because when I need those tools, I can pop them out. So when a prison wants an agenda or a curriculum or a proposal or a theory of change, I can write them, because I'm not fighting that part of me anymore, because I'm not railing against, yeah, but we just want to turn up and have a conversation. I'm actually saying, oh, okay, that's what they need to hear. What we do when we're in the moment is what we do when we're in the moment. And I'm very fortunate to be able to use those skills. And that's what I hear in your story. If you weren't fighting that, you could write a plan. Yeah. And you could write some activities. You could write a 6-week program or a 20-week program or a 3, whatever it is. Mm. And then behind all of that, if the program looks like, first of all, we're going to ground them in gardening skills, that when they turn up, there's going to be just a freestyle, let's have a look, what do people like, etc. You know what the reality is, but you can frame what you're doing in something that, if you want to, of course, you might want to just be a complete rebel and say, I'm not doing that. But if you want to, you can frame what you're doing that is acceptable to the people who are going to support you in this. Is that making sense? Yeah. And to me, it was the fight that got in the way. I don't want to do that anymore. That's what got in the way. Yeah. But you have had a lifetime of amazing skills that you can just use when you feel like, and just put them down when you don't need them anymore. Yeah.
I see a bit of the, what did they say, the baby out with the bathwater sort of thing. because you said I'm not doing everything's gone, but you can tailor in what you need to help go along with the way that you want to do it moving forward. And I think that's brilliant what you just said, Mama J. But I know how you are, Jill. It's like a free flowing, just easy, just show up and just in the moment do what you want to do, be who you are for now. But like I said, there's some little framework that has to go behind it to tick a box, but then you still essentially keep the free flowing, show up and do what you want in the moment. Then yeah, like you said, Mama J said, marry the two where needed, but don't lose what you want the end goal of what you want to achieve. The behind the scenes, you can compromise there, but the end goal, keep that, because it's going to be beautiful what you do create.
Yeah, I get that. Thanks. I think what Mama J said about, perhaps actually writing down the plans for the things and then just putting them to one side. It's rather what I did when I was teaching, actually, which was a bit naughty, but
there you go. That's perfect. Yeah, that's exactly. And the teachers in the room will get that, and it's what we all do. Yeah, yes. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. No, I don't feel so worried about it now. That's good. Thank you. Yeah.
I love that, the way that we can see certain things, and just because you're not going there, everything's gone. There's nothing in that for me anymore.
Yeah.
And at the detriment of even probably ruining what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Just take everything off the table and then build it up brick by brick, and you will see that there's probably a few bits from the old that you could use, but we're so quick to just throw out and just say, right, I'm not doing that anymore. And even the bit that caused the irk was only 2% of it, but you've thrown out the rest of it with it because it's beautiful. It's beautiful that.
Thanks.
It's so easy for everyone, for people to do that as well. So easy.
Yeah, I can see where they're coming from, because they're doing the more the paperwork side, and they need facts and figures, I suppose. So if I look at it that way and make plans, which I know I don't have to stick to, I think that's the way to go, isn't it? But I get it. Thank you.
You want to say something, Dave?
Yeah, it just reminds me, there's a wonderful quote by Eisenhower, who obviously was quite important in the Second World War. And he said that planning is everything, the plan is nothing. So it's the process of going through it that's helpful. But actually, when you come to execute that plan, all bets are off. You are in the moment having to deal with what shows up. And, for the pair of you that are teachers, you know what that's like. It's the set whenever you think you're going to do something in a certain way, you can fight that and try and keep it on the plan, but it's unlikely to happen. If you go with the flow and are in the moment, you will succeed. So yeah, as I said, if someone wants a plan to that they can go, oh right, that gives me comfort, something I can hang on to. There's some structure here. What you do is completely up to you, and it will be perfect.
Okay. Thanks, and that's helped a lot. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for asking the question and for putting it out there. That's incredible. I'm really, really proud of you, and I really love that.
Thank you. It's great.
Sometimes that all plays into the same little movie thing that we was talking about as well. The way that you set the movie up, that you want to watch it, or the way it has to be. And if it's not going to be like that, then this film ain't being made, or you're going to edit a few bits that go in your direction. But when it doesn't actually look like it's going to be that production, then you just throw it all. You say, no, forget that. And then I'm going to make another movie. No, you can stay with that movie. But you just have to be a bit more, like you said, things can marry up and be made together.
Yeah.
It reminds me, Pete, of when people, the throwing the baby out with the bathwater thing reminds me of when people, get this understanding and they think, that's it, I want to share this, and they go off, running off over there, and then they don't look at where they are. And I've talked to different people, prison officers, teachers, business people, who then see that, oh yeah, I'm in the perfect place to be able to share this right here. I don't have to run off and start that thing over there and make that new movie because this one doesn't fit. I can actually look at what I've got around me and make a movie with the tools and the information and the props that I'm already in front of.
And I think that's another way. You always think you need all these extras and you know, do this big budget and you need to hire this thing and that thing to get them in and the explosion and the pyrotechnics. No, I've got everything I need right here. Yeah, there's nothing from outside, no extras, it's just there. I've got the full supporting thingy, everything I need.
And you know, what about those films that are made on a shoestring budget with the mates, with the you know, the camera that's been borrowed from university, and it gets an award because people see it and it's real. Yeah. We've taken over your chat, Pete.
That's right. I'm yeah. I'm high as a kite just listening. So no, I'm fine. I love it. Just listening to Jill there, I think it's quite remarkable what she's trying to do, and that's the only trouble. In my line of work, there's always been red tape in the way, and there's always somebody else's reality that you've got to bow down to. So no, I love it.
That you reminded me of that, because I know that where your passion is to want to help other people that are suffering with addiction, but where you are at the moment, you're already helping people as well, and you shouldn't overlook that. You can like really feel the blessing of that you're in that position, that you can help and you are helping.
No, that's an amazing feeling, and I remind myself of that every morning after that email the other day I got, and just through one of my writings, it's actually helped somebody. Because I always said when I first started this journey, if I can just help one person, then my work's done. But all it's doing is just inspiring me and filling my passion to do more. But as you slowly catch your monkey, as they say. Yeah. No, I'm in a great place.
That's how I started, Pete. I said, if I can help one person, if I can just help one person, my job is done. And it just keeps on going on, man. It's just, it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
It's a gift that just keeps giving, though, isn't it? Yeah. When I look back at my life, I've been such a selfish person. It's through what I did with drink and drugs and everything like that. I always thought I had a heart of gold, which, I suppose in my reality I did. But no, this is just something I can do, to help now and to give back. So, thanks to you guys for all the help and support as well.
Love that, Pete.
So does anybody want... Oh, go on, Jill.
Sorry, I was just thinking about, that it's a separate realities thing, isn't it? With me and the person who's wanted to do the red tape. It's coming at it from different angles, different thought processes or whatever. And that I don't need to be cross with her or, I don't know, you know what I mean? I don't have to be annoyed or upset by that, because that's obviously what she needs. And I should accept that and then just go with what I know I want to be, or does that make sense?
Amazing sense. Beautiful. Beautiful. Exactly. That insight is going to help you so much.
Yeah.
Because she's doing it innocently from her reality, from her perspective.
Yeah.
You seeing that will make that whole process much easier.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Wow. Amazing.
Love that word, innocence. Love it. When it shows up in its true, and you see it for its true, it's piercing. It is truly piercing. There's like an intellectual innocence where you can look at it and say, oh, that's innocent. That's it. But when that feeling hits you and you can see the real, and it's so true, that is something that is like a truth. When you see the innocence in somebody, you know there's no fronting, there's no hiding, you're feeling it. Someone ain't telling you something to make you think is it innocent. You feel that and it pierces you and it just cuts through all the thinking. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just going through the motions, I think, Jill, to get where you need to go.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, you're right. Yes.
But you know what? I heard a little bit more than that in what Jill said. I'm just going to say it because I heard Jill understanding that other person and their reality. And then when that happens, there's something that we can see fresh for ourselves. There's something about whatever that other person's doing that Jill might be able to see when she's from that point of view.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, it's
And it allows you to have compassion for that person.
Yeah.
And compassion for yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, thanks for that. I feel a whole lot better about it all now. I was getting, yeah, I feel a lot better. Thank you.
You're looking a lot better as well. You're looking a lot more comfortable, and there's more colour in your cheeks than when you first. And well, no, but that's how this works. You saw it one way, and you now see it the other, and that's brilliant. Well done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
I love that in the moment insights. It's very special. So Pete, it's coming up to closing time. Does anyone have anything they want to share, or go on, Kate?
Just one little thing really, and it's always pops into my head whenever I'm thinking about separate realities. I don't think Anne-Marie will mind, hopefully, but in our course that we did, the VIP course, I just found it so powerful. Anne-Marie did shared like a little cartoon that she'd done, and it was a conversation between her and her mum, where her mum was saying something and it annoyed her, but she'd put the speech bubbles into each person, and it showed what Anne-Marie was thinking about what was being said, which was, I'm a grown up, why are you doing all this? And something that in her mum's speech bubble was what her mum was, or her thought bubble was what her mum's reality was, which was something like, I'm your mum, I'm always going to look after, or something like that. And I think of that so often, and whenever we talk about separate realities, like everything, Pete, when you're saying about the IT, you've got that guy there, and your understanding now in their little thought bubble isn't, I'm annoyed with Pete. It's actually, I've got to get my job done by this time, by my deadline, and this isn't working, and I'm stressed about it. And similar, like with Jill, where she's just had that insight, actually, this is what they're thinking, and that's their world and their reality. And I just wanted to share it because I just found that so powerful, to whenever I'm having these discussions or getting annoyed with people, to think of their thought bubble and not with my assumptions, but actually maybe see, okay, that's where they're at, and then that's where the calm kind of comes back, and I feel a bit more peaceful when I've got that understanding.
I love that, Kate. It just reminded me of saying, I was just trying to think, when was the last time I got angry at anybody? And honestly, I honestly can't remember, because whenever it gets to a situation, straight away I think of their reality, and it just blows everything out of the water. So, no, I love that. Thanks for that reminder, Kate.
Any final thoughts, comments? I'm just reading the chat going, oh my God. Observations, anything that anybody wants to share?
It's just that, the separate realities thing is so important, isn't it? Because it's so easy to forget in the moment.
Yeah.
That, you know, you are thinking different things, and that's acceptable.
Yeah.
You know, so easy to forget in that moment, isn't it? And then come back. Yeah. No, it's been really good sharing that this evening. Really
And
helped.
I'm filling up with such a lot of love for you, Jill, because when you said that, the feeling that comes with that is such a beautiful feeling, that you see that it's easy to forget that, and then when you remember, you get so compassionate about the other person, and it becomes way less about you and about them trying to stop you, and much more about, well, they're just doing the best they can.
Yeah.
And you could really feel that in what you just said. It's very beautiful.
Thanks.
I'm going to walk around now seeing thought bubbles above people's heads.
Yes.
Are they really thinking that?
But you know what, Mama J, it's funny, but that's what we do.
Yeah.
I walk around and look at somebody, talk to them, and when I see their reaction, I put my own speech bubble above their my own thought bubble above their head and say, "Oh, he thinks I'm an idiot, doesn't he?" Right, and then I act accordingly to try and get that thought out of his head.
Yeah.
We do it all the time. So
When we popped it in the first place.
on the way there. Come notice when you said that, we all laugh like, "Ha ha, silly is that?" We all do it.
Yeah.
I have to think what everyone else is thinking.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do everyone else is thinking for them.
And we don't even realize how powerful our own thinking is. We're too busy concentrating, trying to work out what other people else is thinking.
Yes. Yeah.
I think as well, it's really helpful when you see that, because you see that everyone's heading in the same direction. You know, you in your situation, Jill, you both have the same intention. You're just coming at it from different angles, but you both have the same loving intention to make that a beautiful space.
Yeah.
That helps to put some balm on the situation as well.
Yeah.
Beautiful, Pete. A beautiful, beautiful session. Amazing.
It was you lot, not me. But thanks for showing up.
It really wasn't. You gotta own it. You gotta own it. You handled this situation. You brought it to us. You opened it. Your presence, your calm, your beautifulness.
Anything I can do is speak from the heart. So I appreciate that.
And you did that, and it was beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes. Thanks, Pete.
You're welcome, Jill. Thank you, everyone. Look forward to seeing you next week when I don't have to talk.
You probably will.
And next week it is, who is it, Derrick? It's us guys. It's us lot.
Yeah, me, you, and Omar.
Me, you, and Omar.
Yay!
The terrible trio. So look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you very much for coming.